I'm Jim Check. You're watching Kelowna Now. I have with me Ron Cannon, Kelowna City Councillor and a longtime resident.
Great to be here, Jim. Thanks for the invitation.
It's been a while. I was wearing a hat for this one, and then we're going to talk about Remembrance Day, and I'm not going to wear my hat for that. So
very patriotic. It's very
respectful. There you go. It takes place on November 11th, which day is November 11th?
Monday.
Take place at the Centepath at Kelowna City Park.
Yeah, and I hope we get a great turnout. I know sometimes when Remembrance Day falls on a Monday, some people take it as an extra long weekend and go away. But the fact is that people of all ages, I think we need to, especially on Monday the 11th, is take the time out and remember and respect the men and women who have sacrificed their life and limb for our freedom, our democracy, the great country we have, and human rights and the rule of law that we often take for granted in Canada.
And if you can't be down there, you can watch Kelowna Now. Kent and Nick will be down there live streaming the ceremony.
That's good to know for those that are not able to or won't be here.
If you just can't get out for a number of reasons, that you'll be able to watch it at least on live stream with Kelowna Now.
And the weather looks like it's going to be promised. I've marched in some Remembrance Day parades where it's snowing, and others have been
it's beautiful. The last few days have been just incredible, right? You can kind of see the traffic. That's a live shot in behind us, and it's traffic's flowing too right now. And free parking?
Free parking, yes.
For Remembrance Day.
And the fact is that you can, down by the waterfront at City Park, or else in Rutland at Lions Park as well.
Oh, right, there's a ceremony there as well. Is the parkade free parking?
Yeah, it's free parking throughout the city on Remembrance Day.
Well, there you go. So you can get there early. Try to be there before the 11 o'clock for just one to get a decent spot to watch the ceremony.
Take the bus as well. Yeah.
Take the bus, yeah. And then and City Park will be beautiful. It looks beautiful out there right now. So hopefully by Monday it's still this nice.
Still recommend people to bundle up because down by the lake can be a little chilly with the wind, but it is looks beautiful.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful ceremony for sure. I've been to it many, many times, and as you have. Mm-hmm. What else is going on in the city?
Well, with regard to specifically to our veterans, I did table a motion this week at council for council to consider reciprocating with other municipalities around the Thompson Okanagan through the province to provide free parking for veterans. That'd be, Kamloops, Penticton, Vernon, Prince George, Vancouver, Surrey. Had it for a number of years. And basically, there's as of end of 2000,
year-round thing.
A year-round for.
And that's so long as you have veteran plates.
Veteran plates, yeah. And there's 391 vehicles that were registered as of the end of December 2023.
That's it, just 391.
Yeah, so it's a small gesture, but to recognize the sacrifice, and it's a big, I think a big gesture in many ways as far as for some of our veterans who are living on fixed income and inflationary pressures have affected them like it has the rest of us, but some cases even more so. And for seniors, and I think maybe help them get out of the house once in a while and get downtown. Or
I would say that would be
South Pandosy.
A small gesture for sure, and a worthy one.
Yeah. So as I said, it's been implemented in other communities around the province for a number of years, and for the I believe small financial impact for our budget.
Right. When's that motion come before council next week?
On the 25th. We don't meet this Monday. It'll be the 18th, I should say, will be our next meeting after Remembrance Day. I say our budget is 191 million last year as far as taxpayers, and 850 million overall. So this be a few dollars out of the parking reserve funds.
Speaking of the budget, I think the last time I had you in here, we were talking budget. So it's been a while,
2025.
right? Because you're into budget again.
Yeah, 2025 budget will be Thursday, December 5th, I believe. So
yeah, I think we're gonna have Doug in as well right away here. So
get an update,
and
well, tell them to keep the number close to inflation.
Keep the number close.
Yeah,
or how about we get a break in Kelowna this time?
Well, that's right now the plan. I believe for the next few years is to have over 4% budget. To me, it's just too high considering our inflation is 1.6 to 2%. So
I saw a report today come out saying that rents are dropping across Canada.
Yes, and I believe CMHC will have the new numbers for Kelowna in January, New Year. So hopefully we'll be at 3% or higher.
We'll be at a 3% vacancy rate, and rents are coming down.
So combination of those two, and then it'll help for the other issue that's on top of mind
The
for
tourism
many people.
Airbnb thing.
As a council representative on the Tourism Kelowna board, yes, it's definitely the short-term rental aspect, and try to bring that back in line for a Made in Kelowna solution for the properties that were previously zoned and permitted for use. I think it's wasn't fair that the rug was pulled from
It
under
seems
us.
to be getting more and more support, especially from local council, and even some of the candidates that were running, even some of the candidates that were running for the NDP.
Yeah, my council colleague, Loyal Wolbridge, had strongly campaigned on that, and he wasn't able to vote last time. The council I didn't support the extension of City of Kelowna policy went even further than the province, so hopefully we'll bring back to a little happier medium, and Councillor Wolbridge apparently won't be in a conflict this time, as he said he's
Just
no longer owns
yeah.
a short-term rental.
What else is going on?
What else? Well, we have continued. A lot of people want to move to Kelowna, so we have to try to find a home for them, and we're looking at
I mean, there's a
development.
reason why you look out there. It's like pretty amazing backdrop.
We have a beautiful city, and we're just trying to manage the growth. And one of the challenges is how much and how fast. And
I thought you were going to get into, because there's that Google spiked with move to Canada. Maybe they're going to move all to Kelowna with the recent election of Donald J. Trump.
what? Who's that? Oh, yes, Mr.
Yeah, so it
Trump.
spiked, and supposedly a lot of movie stars are moving here. So we should put in our names for Taylor Swift, Oprah Winfrey, Robert De Niro. And there's a long list of them that are say they're moving. So we should at least put our hand up.
Well, I'd like to
Kelowna
see is
forward.
we need some good employers. That would be welcome. They're going to create good jobs, because the fact is economic growth in order to help sustain the wages to provide the housing, because that's the biggest issue we have is housing affordability.
We just have limited resources right now in health and in affordability. This can, I mean, if you want to talk a little bit of politics, like we've reached out for some numbers, but Oliver, we did a story, I think this morning, Oliver Emergency closed for the 38th time this year. We're seeing that in Lillooet, we're seeing that in 100 Mile House, we're seeing it in Nicola Valley, and this problem just keeps going.
Well, it's, healthcare, like every other industry, is short of staff. I mean, we have a crisis in many ways, and affordability be one. However, the way the healthcare system has been managed has been a challenge, and I won't get into. I'm not a healthcare expert, but however, I understand there is a significant bureaucracy within the healthcare system. If you want to look at interior health, and there's no shortage of administration. So we need to look at putting the bodies in the right places, and looking at those frontline workers. And my wife's worked for a doctor for over 25 years, and she's come home and tell me all kinds of stories. I had to trying to get this cancer patient in for the operating room. I had to bump this cancer patient because this one's more serious. And we're in a healthcare crisis. We're in an affordability crisis, a mental health crisis, a lot of things. And we look at where we're at. The people of British Columbia wanted a little bit more of the same, so we're going to get more of the same for the next few years. Looks like.
Yeah, it's a razor thin margin though. So hopefully the NDP are going to listen more, because I think they weren't really listening to the cries of many British Columbians on affordability. So hopefully that changes. And I know that recent election, I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole with Donald Trump, but obviously Canada, the current federal government has been very adversarial towards his name. They seem to be a little more conciliatory in the last couple of days, but I mean, they've said some pretty rough rhetoric, and it doesn't really put Canada in a great place for our largest trading partner. We're no longer their largest trading partner, though.
No, and I think there's a couple issues there. Like, first of all, with the province, Mr. Eby and the Premier has indicated he wants to listen more, and Beaver is going to have to work in a more conciliatory manner for his legislation to move forward. And November 18th, his new cabinet will be sworn in, so we'll have be announced, and we'll have a little bit better idea which players, who's who in the zoo, as they say. And specifically to our friends and neighbors to the south, I'm glad that that election went as smoothly as it did. It wasn't our province is still counting the ballots. There are a couple more days, and unfortunately, it was
well, they'll be counting some ballots down there, but it was a decisive win. So I mean, it was some people calling it a landslide win in the Electoral College. So it was very decisive, that win, and this one is razor thin, and they're blaming the weather here in British Columbia. And I guess there was some weather issues. Uh, not, I'm not sure if it will flip any seats, but it might.
No, it doesn't look like it will. With regard to specifically the U.S. election, yeah, the Republicans have no control of both the House and the Senate side. So hopefully that they'll use that.
I don't think that's
What-
confirmed yet
what-
either, but the Senate is for sure. The presidency is confirmed, and the House, they're still. It looks like it's going to be. I mean, Mike Johnson's very confident that it will. Elon Musk is very confident it will, but they still don't. I mean, they're still counting a lot of
I'm
ballots.
just hoping to use that
Those
power
2 years vary. Yeah,
with
those-
responsibility and
Yeah.
wisdom and guidance from
yeah.
the good Lord. Give them wisdom because they need direction. With regard to the geopolitical situation that's right now, the sensitivity, whether it's the Middle East or in China, we got Taiwan, and back to when I was a member of Parliament, I was the vice chair of Canada U.S. and I'd go down to D.C. and meet with members of Congress and in the Senate. And Canada is. I was on the trade committee as well. United States is Canada's number one trading partner. Every day there's, and we're looking at almost $3 billion.
Lots goes off across just one bridge there.
Yeah, I mean, 3 million, we look at over 900 billion a year. So, and you have to realize that we're so integrated in so many ways, and, the auto industry and other sectors that we are, the 49th is seamless in many cases. However,
I mean, Canada
we don't
is
know what'll
also
happen.
one of the richest resource nations in the world, and if there is a change in government, likely Canada will play a big role in the U.S. supply chain for minerals and all those other things that Canada can't supply: oil and gas, LNG.
Absolutely. We're blessed to being the second largest nation in the world, and we do have all these natural resources, and that's one of the things that John Rested was running, and Mr. Eby has alluded to, that we have to find a better way of getting those resources to market, allowing mines to open up and look at alternative energy sources as we transition. But in the meantime, we have to utilize the LNG and solar, as you talked about many times, and looking at even nuclear down the road. So
Yeah, there's
hydrogen.
it's going to be, the answer is going to be a blend, and we've seen that nuclear energy really pick up there with the likes of Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, all trying to actually lock up SMR, small modular reactors, for themselves, right? And I think might get this wrong. Microsoft, I think, has made a deal to restart 3 Mile Island. If you remember 3 Mile Island from way back when that meltdown there, right? So sounds like that one's going to restart.
Well, what I've read and researched, we've learned a lot from our past mistakes, which is important. And moving forward, there are some ways to implement this in a much more responsible manner. And I think, obviously, it's cleaner. And
Well, there's an SMR going into being commissioned in Ontario right now.
yeah, and Ontario's had nuclear for a number of years, of course. However, on the larger modulars, the unspent fuels was the big thing, how to deal with that, and that's still challenged.
They have cheap power in Ontario. I was just doing a thing I was just talking with Ian. We were doing some calculations on EVs out there and that and power, and off peak, they're at 7.5 cents a kilowatt. Pretty cheap. $5.70 to fill up a Model Y.
Remember being in Japan.
Hey, let's fill up your gas
I know,
tanks.
it was-
$5.70.
It was cheap. I was just going to say, I remember being in Japan in Osaka, the power energy company. We were on a trade agreement. They did a deal with Ontario and in property in Alberta. So our resources are recognized around the world. We're helping provide affordable energy for around the province, or around the country. But in our own province, we've been actually had to be importing power for the last little while.
So Alberta sits in the catbird seat. I think it's the future Saudi Arabia of the world with LNG, oil and gas, SMRs, and solar and wind. I mean, they're the best province for solar, and they're the best province for wind. It's windy there. Ever been to Lethbridge?
I've been there, yeah. Blew my hair right off. So, I used to have hair before I went to.
It's definitely windy. Grand Prairie.
Been there too.
You plant your trees this way, and then as they grow, they're more like this.
Yeah, 1981, I used to fly into Grand Prairie, do Chetwynd.
You were an
Hudson
Edmonton
Hope.
boy too, right?
Originally, yeah. Tumbler Ridge started in 1981 when I was sales rep in that area. Huh?
Yeah, Edmonton. I lived in the City of Champions when it was the City of Champions, as you did.
Yeah, and they moved it to City of Radar Traps, I think, after that. So,
Radar traps and bumpy roads.
yeah.
Have you been on that Anthony Henday?
Yeah, I have a few years ago. Yeah,
That's a
but after
pretty.
5 Stanley Cups, 5 Grey Cups, moved to Kelowna about 35 years ago, and
If you don't got loose bolts in your car after a few trips on that road,
no, I'm going to say hopefully the Okanagan Sun are going to win this weekend too. They got a tough battle in
you go.
Ontario.
well, we won't keep you too long today. We really want to cover off Remembrance Day. That's the main thing. We should do this more often, though.
Look forward to it, and I appreciate the opportunity. And as I said, please get out there and support our veterans on Monday the 11th, Cenotaph at City Park or Lions Park in Rutland. The Army Navy Air Force Base will have a host afterwards, and the Legion will be hosting an event at Parkinson Rec Center. Community can drop in and just come and remember.
If you're watching this from West Kelowna, there's a ceremony there as well.
Hey,
There's ceremonies all
Peachland,
over.
I believe, yeah.
Ceremonies
Lake Country.
all over the central Okanagan. So, and keep in mind, this holiday was provided so that you go and, it was provided to honor the veterans. So, it's like
Without their
30 minutes
sacrifice, we wouldn't have the freedom.
30 minutes of your day to go down there and pay your respects, whether you go in, downtown Kelowna, Rutland, West Kelowna, Peachland, whatever. There's lots of places in the central Okanagan. Or if you can't get out, then you can watch it on Kelowna Now or live streaming.
Lest we forget. Thank you, Jim.
And thank you for watching Kelowna Now.